You're 19, salt-stiff hands, hauling the boom of a Hobie Cat, 16 across the launch ramp at sunrise. The receipt for $4,995 folded in your back pocket. $24.71 in change from the gas station, taped to the dashboard of the truck pulling the trailer. 2,700 miles east, Roman Abramovich's Eclipse is burning a ton of diesel a day to run the air conditioning. Same ocean, different ladder. From a $4,995 used Hobie to an $800 million Dilbar. The longest yacht ever built measures 180 meters, and the most expensive verified one runs $800 million. Today we walk every level of yacht ownership in America, base to apex, every dollar on the way up. If you like breakdowns of how wealth actually scales, like and subscribe. Level 1, the deckhand. You don't own a slip. You own a boat. A 1996 Hobie Cat, 16. $4,995 in cash to a guy in a driveway in Annapolis. The mast is in two pieces, leaning against your truck. The boom is in the bed. The holes are scratched. The trampoline is sun-rotted but functional. And the centerboard housing has a crack you'll need to JB weld before September. You learn the vocabulary at the launch ramp. LOA, length overall, 16 feet 7 inches. Beam, the maximum width, 7 feet 11 inches. Draft, the hull depth. Less than 10 inches because the centerboards swing up. You learn to step the mast in the parking lot so the holes don't roll while you're rigging. You learn the cleat hitch, the bowline, the figure 8 stopper knot. Storage is dry stack at the public marina. $80 a month for a rack number painted on a forklift. Trailer registration is $35 a year. Hull insurance, $180 annual. Bottom paint twice a year, because Hobies sit on a beach roller, not a slip. Premium unleaded for the 6-gallon portable tank. $4.49 a gallon in 2024. You fill it once a Saturday and burn it by Sunday. Annual all-in, $1,400. The trampoline burns the soles of your feet at noon. The fiberglass wingtips have hairline stress cracks you keep meaning to repair. The main sheet has a knot you tied in the 2022 because the original cleat broke off and you never replaced it. You sail her anyway. The setback is a Sunday night in June. The trailer wheel bearing seizes at 65 miles per hour on Route 50. The hub turns red, then black, then catches fire under a galvanized fender. You pull onto the shoulder, watch a passing pickup throw an empty Gatorade bottle out the window. The new axle hub kit is $189.99 at the Next Day O'Reilly. The tow is $148. You sleep in the truck cab in a Walmart parking lot, with the boat strapped down and a Hobie sticker peeling off the right hull. The transition isn't a bigger boat. The transition is a wet slip. You stop wanting to back a trailer down a launch ramp. You want to step off a finger pier into a cabin with a refrigerator. That want costs 10 times what you've paid for any boat to date. Level 2, the cruiser. A 2015 Beneteau Oceanis 35, used $98,500 from a broker in Annapolis. The keel is fin, the rig is sloop, the engine is a Yanmar 21-horse diesel that starts with a key. The boat sleeps 4, has a head with a holding tank, a galley with a 2-burner alcohol stove, and a saloon table you can lower into a 5th bunk. You sign a 6-year boat loan, $1,420 a month at 8.4%. The slip is at a marina in Mystic, Connecticut. $4.85 per linear foot per month. 35 feet of boat. $169.75 a month, 12 months a year, $2,037 a year just for water. Shore power on a 30-amp pedestal included. Pump out at the holding tank dock, $25 a session. The diesel fill is $4.39 a gallon, 38 gallons from half tank, $167 every other weekend. The 10% rule kicks in. Industry standard, it costs 10% of the purchase price every year to keep the boat afloat. On a $98,500 hull, that's $9,850. Slip fee, insurance at 1.7% of hull, winterization at $1,800, bottom paint job at $1,400, oil change and impeller and zincs at $900. By the time you're 3 years in, you've spent more on maintenance than the original loan principal. The setback is Hurricane Helene in September 2024. The marina loses power for 9 days. Your bilge pump runs the battery dry on day 3. The boat sits in 14 inches of standing water for the rest of the week. The repair with new wiring harness and a replacement Yanmar starter and re-soaked teak floor comes to $11,800. Insurance covers $7,400 after the $2,500 deductible. You don't take her out the rest of the season. The transition isn't a bigger sailboat. The transition is a captain. You stop wanting to drive 5 hours every weekend. You want her in the Mediterranean for a month. You want a guy in white at the helm who knows where the unmarked rocks are off Cap Ferrat. That guy charges $8,400 a month before he's slept aboard. Level 3, the sport yacht owner. A 2019 Sunseeker Predator, $5,549,000, used through a Camper and Nicholsons broker. Twin Volvo, Penta YPS, 800 pods, joystick docking, semi-displacement hull, planing speed 30 knots. Fuel burn at cruise 60 gallons per hour. The boat sleeps 6 in 3 cabins, has a hydraulic swim platform that doubles as a tender lift, and a fly bridge with twin-stid helm chairs. You don't drive her, you charter the captain. Entry-level captain pay is $50,000 a year. Full-time on a 50-foot Predator in the Med jumps to $84,000 plus housing aboard. Your captain is Maltese, ex-Royal Navy, and his name is on a CV that the broker cleared before you signed. He runs the AIS transponder, files MMSI registration, keeps the EPIRB cert current. You text him Thursday from Zurich. Nice Friday at 1840. Mercedes Veit class on the FBO apron. The boat is fueled, the fridge is provisioned, the helicopter pad at Saint-Tropez Vieux-Port is reserved for arrival. Saint-Tropez to Bonifacio to Porto Cervo and back. 6 days. Diesel bill €11,400. Porto Cervo mooring ball in August. €890 per night. The Bombardier flight back to Zurich, charter quote, $14,200. The setback is a submerged shipping container. 24 knots off Sardinia, the bow strikes something that wasn't on the chart, and both propellers are gone in 2 seconds. The starboard shaft is bent. 11 weeks at the Sunseeker authorized yard in Villareggio. The bill is $137,400 for new props, 2 shafts, alignment, and bottom job. Insurance pays $94,000 after a $35,000 deductible. The captain still gets paid, $7,000 a month, while the boat sits on the hard. The transition isn't a faster Sunseeker. The transition is steel. You outgrow the cabins the moment you try to spend more than a long weekend aboard. The next gate isn't the same boat scaled up. It's a different category. You start saving search alerts on Yacht World for 44-meter Heesens. Level 4, the megayacht owner. A 1989 Feedship 38-meter custom, $3.5 million after a €250,000 reduction by a broker named Monaco. Steel displacement hull, 124 feet length overall, 26-foot beam, 8.5-foot draft, RENA classification with MCA Cat 1 commercial coding. She sleeps 10 in 5 cabins, 3 of them with full en-suites, and the master has a private balcony off the owner's deck. New hulls in this category run $18 to $30 million for a San Lorenzo SD 110 or $40 million for a fresh Heesen 50-meter steel. You don't own the schedule anymore. The captain runs it. Sunday afternoons, he sends a 5-page WhatsApp summary. On T-Bay's booking, confirmed for Saturday. Mistral forecast moderate. Provisioning order at €4,200 placed at Saint-Frère. Bunker order 14,000 liters of diesel, queued for Tuesday morning. The crew is 7 full-time. Captain $140,000. Chief engineer $96,000. Head chef $88,000. Chief stew $84,000. 2 stews and a deckhand at $54,000 each. Year-round payroll $620,000. You charter her 10 weeks a year through Burgess and Camper and Nicholsons. Charter rate €185,000 per week plus 30% APA. The advanced provisioning allowance for fuel and food. Charter income covers about 38% of annual operating costs. The rest comes out of pocket, and the rest is $3.2 million. The August charter cancels 3 days before embarkation. A guest in the party tests positive for COVID. The rest of the group rebooks for September. And your boat sits at her berth in Antibes for 2 weeks with a paid crew of 7 and no income. The APA refund letter, drafted by Burgess Legal, runs 9 pages. Net loss for the gap, €184,000. The setback is the 5-year survey. Class Society pulls both engines, replaces the gearbox seals, rips out and relays the UV cracked teak deck because the surveyor flagged 6 millimeters of cup warp on the foredeck. The Heesen yard in Oss quoted €2.4 million. The actual bill, after a hairline crack in the keel cooler that wasn't visible until the engines came out, is €3.1 million. The boat is on the hard for 11 months. The transition is a yard. Above 80 meters, only 5 yards in the world build, and 3 of them won't take a first-time client. You start writing a letter to Peter Lürssen. The waiting list at Bremen is 4 years for a slot above 90 meters. Level 5, the superyacht owner. A 90-meter custom new build at Lürssen Lemwerder. The contract is in 3 currencies and signed in 2 languages. The build slot is 42 months from steel cut to splash. And the price is $215 million spread across 10 progress payments. Per meter cost above 60 meters starts at €1.5 million per meter, climbs to €3 million per meter for full custom. You commission a 30-meter stained glass wing for the spiral staircase. You pick teak species for the cap rails. You walk the half-built hull at 32% completion in steel-toed boots with a hard hat and an interpreter. The boat sleeps 18 owner side and 28 crew. Helideck rated for an Augusta Westland AW139 touch and go. Helicopter hangar at $4 million extra spec. Dynamic positioning DP1 to lock you over a coral reef without dropping an anchor. MTU 16V 4000 main engines, 0-speed stabilizers, and a Cayman Islands flag for tax efficiency. Annual operating cost runs $14 million. Crew payroll $2.6 million for 24 hands. Fuel at $1.8 million. Insurance $2.4 million. Yard time, the 5-year class survey, and the 10-year major refit, averaged across years, $1.6 million. Sat phone, Iridium, and VSAT, $42,800 a quarter. The chef has a $480,000 annual food budget and complains it isn't enough. The setback is a yard delay. The yard tells you 36 months. They deliver in 50. The penalty clause caps yard exposure at €4.2 million. Your owner side cost is $2.7 million. The brokerage retainer runs while you wait. The captain is hired and on payroll. The slip in Antibes is reserved and prepaid for a season she misses. The transition is scarcity. At 90 meters, you can host any head of state. The only level above is volume, gross tonnage, the second figure on the Lloyd's list that nobody tracks. The slot at Lürssen for a 130-meter and above is 4 to 7 years out. Only 6 clients a year get access. You write the letter again. Level 6, the giga-yacht owner. You don't board your yacht meets you. The Bombardier Global 7500 lands at Nice Côte d'Azur at 11:14 in the morning. Mercedes Vive class on the apron, the same one as last week. By 11:32, a tender is peeling toward the Silhouette, anchored a mile off Cap d'Antibes, uniformed mate at the helm, and the Silhouette resolves into 156 meters of Lürssen steel. This is Dilbar. Build cost $800 million in 2016. World's largest yacht by gross tonnage at 15,917 gross tons. 84 crew distributed across 40 cabins. 25-meter indoor pool, the largest ever installed on a yacht. Andrew Winch interior. The crew salary line alone is $7.4 million a year. Fuel and dock and insurance push annual operating cost to between $50 and $80 million. The pier set is 6 holes. Eclipse, 162.5 meters, $600 million build. Current estimates up to $1.5 billion. Missile detection system, anti-paparazzi laser. 3-man submarine, swimming pool that converts to a dance floor. Azzam, 180 meters, $600 million, 30-knot top speed, owned by the UAE ruling family, 4,000 workers and 6 million man-hours to deliver. Sailing yacht. 143 meters, $600 million, 3 masts and a glass-bottom pool, Felipe Stark design, faucets at $40,000 each. Bezos's Koru, 127 meters, $500 million, Oceanco, with a separate $75 million support vessel called Abiona. Rotterdam considered dismantling the De Heft Bridge so she could exit the yard. Ellison's Old Rising Sun, 138 meters, $200 to $400 million range, sold to David Geffen because she couldn't enter most marinas. Mohammed bin Salman's Serene, 134 meters, $330 million build, snow room, climbing wall, 3 pools, a submarine and a hangar. The setback is geopolitical. February 24th, 2022. The next morning, Eclipse and Solaris are running for Turkey. By April, Dilbar is impounded at a Hamburg pier, and sailing Yacht A is held in Trieste. U.S. Treasury values Dilbar at $600 to $735 million. The Italian taxpayer pays maintenance on sailing Yacht A. Eclipse burns 1 ton of diesel a day. Idle, no one aboard. The transition is no transition. The yacht is the second item in a portfolio of movable assets. The first is the next yacht. The gate isn't built of steel anymore. The gate is access and time. Level 7, the owner. You don't have a yacht. You have yachts, plural. Roman Abramovich at peak owned 4. Eclipse and the new $600 million Solaris and Polaris and Le Grand Bleu. The last one gifted to a friend named Eugene Schvidler. Andrei Melnichenko owns 2, both Felipe Stark designs, both impounded, the $300 million motor yacht A in Italy and the $600 million sailing yacht A in Trieste. You don't operate. A captain runs each hull. A fleet manager flies between them with a clipboard. You're on a first-name basis with Peter Lürssen, with the Royal Van Lent family at Feedship, with the Rinaldis at Benetti. Your phone has a folder labeled Yard, and inside it are 3 contracts at 3 different yards in 3 different stages of build, every one of them signed under a different LLC in a different jurisdiction. The setback is a sanctions list, a divorce decree, a crew member who leaks photos to the Daily Mail. The geopolitics of a yacht over 100 meters is the geopolitics of every yacht over 100 meters at once, and the legal team that handles it costs $4.6 million a year retained. The Forbes 400 has a column for yachts, and your name has been in it for a decade. There is no transition. Level 7 is terminal. Your estate sells the fleet piecemeal at auction. 2 boats go to a Saudi prince. 1 goes to a Chinese real estate developer. The flagship sits at Marina di Luano unsold for 14 months, until a Maltese-flagged LLC closes for 38 cents on the dollar. The Hobie Cat 16 you bought, used for $4,995, still sails. Tied to a mooring ball off a public beach in Newport, Rhode Island, owned now by someone's nephew. The Eclipse is anchored 4,847 nautical miles east, in Marmaris, Turkey, burning 1 ton of diesel a day with no one aboard. The boat outlives the owner, every boat. The sail in the parking lot at sunrise, the Lürssen on the horizon at sunset, the trailer hub kit and the missile defense system. The water doesn't care. The water remains.